Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope everyone's Sunday and or day is going terrific. As promised, we're gonna go through this past year and up until present day. Not all in this video, of course, because that's a lot. But I did take I did take pictures throughout my year to look at them retroactively. And I'm actually super proud to show this one off because it came a couple of days after I decided it's finally time to tell you how my year went. You'll see that I've been working on myself mentally for 10 years, and I reached a really, really cool milestone, and I'm so fucking happy about it, because that means in my lifetime, at 33 fucking years old, I've done music, I've done carpentry, and I've mastered my own fucking mind. Yes! That isn't to say, however, that I'm going to stop doing the self-care or the counseling. And I accept that my diagnosis, although is treatable and curable, is something that I'm going to continuously do. Now, having said that, we're going to flash back to 2013? Yeah. Alright, so in 2013, I was in Red Deer College. And that, and that was a great time in my life, man. All the things that you hear people say, yeah, dude, I did that in college. It's true. I had dreads. You can see the bald spot. I had dreads. Kids will do that. I had dreads. So I was at the top of the world. I was taking music class. I had a committed relationship with a wonderful girlfriend. I had we had our own place. I had a great friend network going on. I was playing saxophone. I was writing hip hop. Things were going really, really good. I was actually in the community. I was living in between I was in Red Deer. I was living in Calgary. I was living in Edmonton. And yet somehow, throughout my day, I kept just zoning out. And that would happen a lot as the school would progress, as my life progressed, as things got busier, as I got more successful, as real life started to hit. I was 22, 23, somewhere around there? And yeah, as things got more and more hectic, and as I interacted with more people who were either within my niche group or so outside of my niche group that I didn't know where to put them, and all this other stuff that, there was so much going on in here that I had no idea what to do with it all. And then add that with years of unchecked stuff. And there would just come times where my mind would just shut down. It was weird. And I thought I was handling it pretty well, but I remember being in a one-on-one vocal class, and my teacher, of which I really appreciate, she just stopped talking. Looked at me. It was where do you go? And I realized then that the jig was up. I actively avoided counseling for years. I can't really give you an actual legit reason why. I talked myself out of it. I could have easily just, I don't know. I don't really want to dwell on that because there's a lot of shit I woulda, coulda. But at that point in time, I got up, I cut the class short, and I just remember zombie walking, to the counselor's office. And it was the very first time I ever did an intake. They give you Well, most often they give you pieces of paper and you have to like kind of describe yourself on like a 1 to 10 scale. And it's the first time, I guess, the glass kind of actually broke. And I remember being like, don't cry. Oh God, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Because like, it wasn't so much, well, I guess, yeah, it was stigma. It was personal pressure. And the term losing my mind was very prevalent on myself. You know, be very careful about the words you use to describe yourself, your mental health, or someone else's mental health. For instance, actually, trigger warning, I'm going to say crazy a lot. Not because I want to offend people, not because I want to jump over a specific someone's interpretation of crazy. It's just how I describe my personal journey, because when it comes down to it, there is one specific episode down the way that I can't describe it any other way. Moving on. So yeah, I went to counseling, and let me tell you immediately, it was the most amazing thing I've ever done for myself. Holy smokes. So here's my favorite thing about it. I am sitting in counseling. Well, actually, I'm sitting in like the lobby, and I'm sweating bullets. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Counselors to me were either in those like one panel jokes that you'd see on like Sunday morning afternoons, well, it all started when I was 3 years old. Or, what about Bob? But I looked up, and there was a poster, and I don't think I'd ever related to a poster more in my entire life. And it had this picture of like this mama bird just looking down. There's this little bird that's mid-flight, obvious, and he's kind of got this chill look on his face, but he's still flapping like a motherfucker. And it said, some people, how did it go? Some people learn how to fly. Some people will always stay grounded. And others will take that leap and figure it out on their way down. And I realized that I'm the leap on the way down kind of guy. I've always been the leap on the way down kind of guy. So just to have that relevance in there just was like, it was all I needed not to just run. So yeah, fast forward, I was officially diagnosed with, I have no idea why I keep looking over there, by the way. I was officially diagnosed with depression and anxiety throughout my college. And then life happened. And I don't want to dwell on it too much, but what I can say is that it is really important that if you are going to go on a mental health journey, that make sure you are strong enough in your abilities and strong enough in your personal conviction to be able to help yourself, but still maintain a healthy relationship. That I say delicately because it's, for me, I have found that the more healthy I get, or the more I strive for boundaries and loving myself and all that stuff, the people around me who are close to me, sometimes we will have that conflict. Sometimes there's just that because you're changing yourself. And whether they're changing themselves or staying put, that's irrelevant. What is relevant is how you react as you change yourself, because as you grow, you're going to shed some friendships, or you're going to find that adaptability that you have within yourself, it's not going to be reciprocated as much as you would think, or as much as one would hope in other people. And if you go into relationships with that expectation, you're going to be disappointed. So as you travel through this journey, know that it's going to get really awkward between a lot of people. Some of them will support you. You know, I whittled down my friends list to like the most supportive bunch of people. Like, I have no idea how it happened, when it happened. Some of y'all I know for years, so it's like so great that it's just implanted. But yeah, and others, you know, I will say, hey, I'm having a great day, and someone will come up and be like, yo, man, we all have troubles too, and blah blah blah, and just fucking get rid of those people, because you don't need that. You know, we all have our shit days. Obviously, it just doesn't mean that you have to like take the camera and be like, me. So yeah, yeah. So I say that again to summarize that little rant. The better you get, the more awkward your relationships around you may be, and that's not a negative reflection on them, nor is it a negative reflection on you. You are going through a huge change. You are literally changing yourself. Everything that person knows about you and got used to about you is now going to be different, right? So expect that. Whoop! I knew it was going. All right, there we go. So that's part one of that story. Part two. You see this sucker right here? This is my big old binder of mental health. I've got loose leaf for when inspiration and or writing comes. And then I've got all this crap right, well, not crap, but I've got all this useful stuff right here. And to be honest with you, my goal for the remainder of this year is to get really, really good at explaining a lot of the things in here in short format. And I'll just sprinkle videos as we go along, because mindfulness, radical acceptance, which is a bitch, but once you understand radical acceptance, life becomes so much easier. Understanding radical acceptance, though, ironically enough, takes some radical acceptance because it's a fucking asshole of a theory. But it works! Anywho, so yeah, all the things in here. But I didn't get these without breaking down some huge walls within myself. So, like, I've done counseling. And I did counseling for 3 years up to this point before the big blue binder came into my life. And I went from counseling in Red Deer, and then I just did a brief span in Calgary. You know, because my time in Calgary was also a brief span. And then in Creston, more counseling. So yeah, but this time I'm at about 3 years. And was I getting better? Fuck yeah! Yes, I was. Did I feel like I was getting better? No. No, I didn't. But that's okay, because I was still consistent about it. If you go to the gym for like 3 days out of the 7, and you take a rest on the 4, you still grow on those 4 days. And if you look at that in like a long progression, yeah, you only went to the gym 3 days or a quarter of the week, but you also consistently did that over the course of 6 months, you're still growing. So you may not feel like you're getting better, but so long as there are times when you try, in the big picture, you're doing fucking awesome. So my counselor at the time in Creston suggested that I take a course on anxiety and depression. And I said yes. Because if you're going to take the counseling route, or if you're in the counseling route, may I remind you that brutal honesty is one thing, and then accepting help is another. Because, yeah, I am brutally honest in my counseling. And I am very accepting in what they're willing to give me. But as I was saying yes, my high school self literally went back to Fight Club. I am Jack's group counseling. So, before I know it, I'm in this room with, in my mind, other people who can't handle themselves. And I didn't think I belonged there. Like, I legit didn't think I belonged there. It was surreal. I was Jack's third person view. I literally spoke in Fight Club for that entire time because that's just how much in denial I was. And towards the end, though, things like something in me really just and I stopped seeing myself in like third person movie. Oh my god, how'd I get here? I'm with a bunch of groups. I'm with a bunch of people who really shouldn't be here either, but maybe I should be. I don't know. Too. That's a really good concept. I should try that. And one of the things that I teach people, and one of the concepts that I know, like right off the bat, that just like sticks with me, is like how you like interact with people. And it's like, as you go through this journey, there are things that like people will tell you that either you've heard 1,000 times or you just, once you think about it, you're like, fucking, why? Why didn't I do this before? Or, so I'm going to give you this one for free. All of them's for free. But this one's for free now. Okay, so, in your life, there's you. Boop. And then there was a circle. You. And outside of that circle, there's another circle. You. And so on. You have the power to determine who is within each circle. It's like your own solar system or your own bullseye. So for me, it's my daughter right there. And then a select few, sorry guys, but 5 friends. And that's pretty much it. And then, boop, I've got, let's say the people I talk to on Facebook, but haven't really had the opportunity to see in person. They're within there. And then you got acquaintances, and then you have your grocery store people that you always see, your 7-Eleven guy. Hey, I'm hanging at 2 a.m. I just need to see those. Thanks for remembering my name. And so on and so forth. And I'm always constantly reevaluating where people are in my life in accordance to that, visually in my head. Another thing that might be a little controversial, but I do anyway, is that I literally use my friends. I take advantage of them all the time. But it's because as you're going through this process, you need to understand what your friends are capable of doing. To put it to an analogy, you wouldn't, you have your friend who's a mechanic, you have your friend who's an electrician, you have your friend who's a carpenter, and you have your friend who's a masseuse. You know what they're capable of doing. You're not going to go to your carpenter friend to, help fix your back. You're not going to go to your, this friend to help with this and da-da-da. So I have friends who are wonderful at talking about mental health stuff. They're just absolutely amazing, and they don't feed you that, it's gonna happen for a reason kind of a stuff and all that stuff that you just don't need to hear when you're like, it's close to a breakdown. I have friends who navigate that wonderfully. And then I have friends I shoot hoops with. Right? And then I got friends who I love to bake with. I got friends who I love to get baked with. I got friends who just, well, not just, but they, I see them mainly to party and all that. And what connects them all is each and every single one of them at my time of need, when I have expressed it to them, have said, do you need me? I got you. And I've understood that that's just not the place where they are. So where I put you in my friend circle, especially if we hang out all the time, is huge. And what I use you for is also huge, because that means that I've taken enough time to understand your personality and not to, quote unquote, burden or strain our friendship expecting something from you that I know you can't reciprocate. So yeah, there's that. This binder's great. Yeah, so fast forward again to March of 2020. Sorry. March of 2020. We're going to get into March of 2020. We're going to get into COVID-19, and we're loosely going to touch into the place of residence where I was at. But I will tell you that in March of 2020, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And true to form, that just pissed me off. I asked for help, not a diagnosis. Oh. Now, again, as hard as it was for me to take the diagnosis, it was really awesome for me to have a label on it. And I say this because, again, if my elbow hurts, it could literally be anything from wrist to shoulder, and I'm just swinging for the fences, hoping to God that whatever I do, whatever exercise, medication, I take, will somehow fix whatever the fuck is wrong with this elbow. That's kind of my mental health journey. I knew I had something going wrong, but getting to that pinpoint was really what it needed. So when they said BPD, it was like, okay, cool. Because depression and anxiety, I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Depression and anxiety is huge. It covers everything and a combination of everything. And BPD is also huge in the way that it combos everything, but it's minute within the big spectrum of mental health. So I had ways to understand myself. And I accepted a course. I can never remember what the thing is actually called. I'm not going to name it because that would just be a detriment to all. Then I'd set myself back 3 months. But I did accept a course specifically for BPD and how to handle it. And I did that shit from January all the way to May. And dude, like, practice makes perfect. And the weird thing about the universe is, like, the more you exercise something in your life, the more it's just gonna fucking throw examples at you. So it's just like, yeah, you can read it in the textbook. You can get all that shit. And then I'm just gonna make your life difficult and see how well you do. And I made it. And I got through. And it's been 10 years. 10 years. And I'm going to continue this until I die. But one of the great things about that statement is that because of this continuance of self-care and learning and shedding my skin, I can say that I am willing to do this until I die by natural causes. I ain't taking myself out. I'm too pretty. But yeah. So yeah, as we go through this year that I've had and going forward, this is going to be quite the journey for us all. But like I said, I'm going to commit time this Christmas to just reevaluate and go through this. Because once you learn, it's really cool. Once you learn how to, like, take the textbook to the mind and the mind to practice, the best way I can describe it is almost like every anime that I've ever seen that has cards. Just like, radical acceptance, self-care, Love myself. Oh, my car just got damaged. Well, I guess I'm just going to have to look at that non-judgmentally. Life! So yeah, that was 25 minutes and 10 seconds of hopefully time well spent. I liked it. But to sign off, I just want to hammer the point of self-care. That was a lot for me to talk about. A lot of this is just unscripted. I know what I want to talk about. It's just what comes out is completely bleh, who knows? But yeah, that was a lot to talk about. But I have, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Yep. I have my shampoo, which is part of my new self-care regimen. I have my bath already run. I have a lighter, so. And then afterwards, give myself a nice shave before I go out into the world and do some nice, responsible adulting Sunday afternoon type stuff. You got this. The very fact that we're here talking means that you've already succeeded. So good for you. I love you. I'm proud of you. You got this.